Barings Bank did not die because one trader got clever. It died because the man placing the bets was the same man whose job was to check they were safe. This was one of the most trusted names in British finance, an institution so old it had helped bankroll wars and empires. Then, in a matter of days, it was gone. The whole bank sold off for a £1 coin. The easy story is that a rogue genius brought it down. He didn't. A bank handed one young man the keys to both the casino and the vault, and kept wiring him money it never stopped to question. Welcome to Tycoons and Traitors. Empires built on nerve, and the greed that brought them down. So how does a name like this simply vanish? Start with what Barings was. Founded in 1762, it was Britain's oldest merchant bank. Banker to the Queen, financier of the war against Napoleon, the house that helped fund the Louisiana Purchase and double the size of a young United States. A French statesman once said, there were 6 great powers in Europe: Britain, France, Prussia, Austria, Russia, and Baring brothers. It had survived everything history could throw at it, until it met its own back office. If the anatomy of a collapse like this is your kind of story, subscribe. Tycoons and Traitors is where we take great empires apart, one at a time. In 1992, Barings sent a 25-year-old named Nick Leeson to run its new futures operation in Singapore. He was young, sharp, and ambitious. On paper, his desk did something safe and dull. Simple arbitrage, pocketing tiny price gaps between 2 exchanges. Low risk, steady money. That was the story London believed, because the alternative meant looking closely at how the money was really being made. And here is the flaw that doomed everything. The detail most versions of this story rush past. In a real bank, 2 jobs are kept apart on purpose. One person makes the trades. Someone else in a different department records them, settles them, and checks the numbers are real. The trader and the referee are never the same hand. That separation is the immune system of a bank. In Singapore, Barings gave Nick Leeson both jobs at once. He ran the trading desk, and he ran the back office that was supposed to police it. He kept his own scorecard. He marked his own homework. The one person most tempted to lie about the numbers was the person they trusted to confirm them. So when a loss appeared early on, a clerk's mistake that should have gone straight up the chain, Leeson didn't report it. He buried it. He opened a quiet account, the kind the system kept for errors. Numbered 88888, a number meant to be lucky. Because he controlled the back office, he could make it invisible. The losses went in. The reports that went home to London came out clean. He'd learned the lesson that would kill the bank, not how to trade, how to hide. Now he had a hole, and a hole has to be filled. So Leeson made bigger bets to win it back, wagering the Japanese market would stay calm, selling promises that nothing dramatic would happen. When it worked, the profits looked enormous. When it didn't, the new losses joined the old ones, hidden in the same 5/8 account. Some months he won. That was the cruelest part. Every win whispered that one more good run would close the hole, and no one would ever know. Back in London, Nick Leeson was a hero. The numbers out of Singapore were spectacular. By his own reports, his little desk was throwing off a huge share of the bank's profits. They paid him bonuses. They held him up as the future. And not one of them asked the obvious question: how does a low-risk, penny arbitrage desk suddenly print a fortune? Where is all this money coming from? It wasn't coming from anywhere. The fortune was the loss, wearing a disguise. This is the part that turns a rogue trader into something worse, a failure of the whole institution. To keep his hidden bets alive, Leeson needed cash to cover the exchange's daily demands, so he asked London for it. And London sent it, again and again. As the secret losses swelled, his requests grew to tens, then hundreds of millions of pounds, funneled to one overseas desk that was supposedly almost risk-free. Nobody asked why a safe little arbitrage operation needed a river of money just to stay afloat. The amounts were enormous, and the bank paid them on trust right up to the edge of the cliff. By the start of 1995, the hole was bigger than anything Leeson could trade his way out of. Bigger than him. Almost bigger than the bank. He'd bet everything on one idea: that the Japanese market would stay quiet. He was holding a mountain of contracts that paid off only if nothing happened. He needed the world to stay perfectly still. The world had other plans. At 5:46 in the morning on January 17, 1995, the ground beneath the Japanese city of Kobe tore apart. The Great Hanshin earthquake killed thousands and flattened the city. And in the markets, it did the one thing Leeson had bet could never happen. It broke the calm. The Japanese market plunged. His positions bled at a speed that's hard to imagine. So he did the only thing a desperate man knows. He doubled down again, pouring in more money, trying single-handedly to force an entire national market back up. Nothing could have. The losses tore past £500 million and kept climbing. On the 23rd of February, Nick Leeson walked out of the Singapore office and didn't come back. On his desk, he left a note. 2 words: "I'm sorry." Then the auditors finally opened the 5/8 account and found the truth that had been growing there the whole time. £827 million, over $1 billion, more than the entire bank was worth. The bank that had survived 2 centuries was already dead. It just didn't know it yet. And the man who'd done it was somewhere over Asia, running. Over a single weekend, the most powerful people in British finance tried to save Barings. The Bank of England locked them in a room and hunted for a rescue. There wasn't one. The losses were simply bigger than the bank. On the 26th of February 1995, Barings collapsed. Days later, the Dutch bank ING bought the whole of it. The 233-year-old name, the offices, and the crushing debts, for £1, taking on the losses as the price of the deal. And it wasn't only a name that died. It was the livelihoods of the ordinary people who worked there, clerks and staff who'd done nothing wrong, and lost their jobs overnight for a collapse engineered far above them. Nick Leeson was arrested at an airport in Frankfurt and sent to a Singapore prison. And it's comfortable to end the story there. One greedy young man, one villain, case closed. But that lets the real culprit walk. Leeson couldn't have hidden a single pound if Barings hadn't given him both jobs and let him grade his own work. He couldn't have lost $800 million if London hadn't kept sending it without ever asking why. The official report into the collapse said it plainly. The bank failed to keep the trader and the referee apart. The traitor was Leeson. But the institution betrayed itself and its own people long before he ran. 233 years of trust ended by a single pound coin. Because the people who own that name never asked the one question that could have saved it. Who is watching the man we trust? If a collapse like this holds you, do me a favor.